Hi, I'm Dr. Fred Gandolfo. I'm a gastroenterologist on Long Island, New York. In Long Island, New York? I think it's in Long Island, New York. Everyone says on Long Island. I don't know why that is, but that's the way it is here. And I was born here. If you're watching this video right now, there's a good chance that you're trying to do a colonoscopy tomorrow and you're having some issues with the bowel preparation. As you know, the clean out, which is the bowel preparation, that process is actually really important so that your doctor can see what's going on inside your colon. When they do the exam tomorrow, if you're not really well cleaned out, your doctor won't be able to see these little precancerous polyps that might be in the colon. And the whole point of a colonoscopy is to go in, get those polyps out, and this way you don't develop colon cancer as you get older. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of scenarios that commonly wake me up at night when people call with problems with their bowel preparation, or common scenarios that just come up and decrease the effectiveness of the bowel prep. So a couple of things to talk about today. One is the prep that just doesn't work. So you drink the prep, it didn't work, or you drink the prep and you get movements that are not really clear at the end of the day. The second situation is the prep that just tastes disgusting and you can't tolerate the taste of it, so you can't even drink it in the first place. And the third situation is you drank the prep, but you threw it all up. Those are the three big things that I get called about. Let's take them in no particular order. First, we'll talk about the prep tasting disgusting. This is probably the most common thing that people call about. They try to drink the prep and they can't finish it, or more likely, they didn't even tell me that they couldn't finish it, and they just tried it at home, never really completed the exam, and then I can tell the next day when the bowels are not really clear, and I ask them what happened. Now, there's a couple of ways around this whole problem. The most simplest thing to do, the simplest possible way to fix this issue is just to put the prep in the fridge and get it cold for about an hour or two before you drink it. And this way it doesn't taste as bad when it's cold. The second thing people do is some people try to use a straw to drink the prep. I've tried this before and it doesn't really help. It didn't really help me, but many people swear by it. So you may want to try to use a straw to help drink the prep. This way you don't have to taste it as much. The third thing you can do is you can use a chaser, meaning you get a liquid that you don't mind drinking, like lemonade or something citrusy or something with a different flavor than the prep that's a clear liquid still, iced tea, lemonade, white grape juice, something like that. And you can take a drink of the prep and then you take a drink of this chaser, and just it kind of gets that fluid, that taste of the prep fluid out of your mouth for a good minute or so, and then you have to drink the prep again, and you just keep alternating the prep with lemonade, prep with lemonade. That helps a lot of people. Some people use ice cubes for that purpose. I find that would make me very cold, but people use ice cubes. They put the prep on ice. Another tip is you can use like a lemon or a citrus fruit, an orange or a lemon, and you cut up little wedges of it, and you don't eat them, but you suck on them between drinking the prep, and that will often help to wash that pretty gross flavor out of your mouth for the time being until it's time to take another sip of the prep. So those are the ways you can get around a prep that tastes nasty. The other things you can do, or you can ask your doctor for a pill-based prep. There's a good pill-based prep available called Sutab. It's a prescription only, so you have to know about it and ask for it ahead of your appointment. You can't really get it the night of usually. And the other thing you can do is you can use Miralax prep. So Miralax is over the counter. I'm going to give you a good recipe on how to use Miralax prep to do a bowel preparation later. But you can use Miralax prep, and that sometimes is a lot less disgusting tasting than the prescription preps. Again, if you're making any changes to the plan, you should really call your doctor, let them know. You shouldn't just do this because you saw it on a YouTube video. Even though I am a real doctor, I'm not necessarily your real doctor. So I'm not really giving you medical advice, as they say. But yeah, that's what you got to do. Use Miralax prep. Now, the next thing to talk about is when the prep just doesn't work. So you drank the prep and nothing happened. You didn't go to the bathroom. You're starting to get worried that it's not going to work. The sun is starting to set, and you're starting to really worry that this whole thing is not going to happen. Typically, you see this when people are on the constipated side. Like if you're having trouble with the bowels on a regular basis, and then you do the prep, sometimes it's just not enough to really work. What I often tell people to do is just after you finish the first dose of your prep, which is usually like 16 ounces or so, plus some water afterwards. Most of the preps have something like that in terms of the schedule on how to take them. I usually say walk around the house for an hour or so, get the bowels moving. If you really feel nothing after that time period, there's no rumbling, there's nothing happening in the stomach, It's after about 2 hours after your first dose, it's time to start worrying that maybe nothing's really going to happen. If you feel stuff going on, just let nature take its course. Eventually the prep will work. Everyone's a little different. Some people, you smell the prep when you're on the toilet. Some people, it takes 3 or 4 hours for that first dose to really go through. But as long as you still feel okay, and it's been about 2 hours, so nothing's really too wrong. If you want to be a little proactive and not want to wait until midnight to worry about it, you can grab 2 of these Dulcolax pills. You buy these over the counter. They're 5 milligrams each. You take 2 of these Dulcolax pills, and that will often get the bowels kind of kick-started, and then the rest of the liquid prep will go through a lot easier. So that's another trick to help things move along. If you are on the very constipated side at the baseline, before you came in for the colonoscopy, you really should let your doctor know about that ahead of time, or they really should ask, truthfully, but you should let them know, because sometimes you'll take a little prep a few days before, either Dulcolax or a prescription prep or something else, and oftentimes a few days before you have already modified the diet and be drinking a liquid diet for another day prior than most people with an average colon transit. That being said, meaning not constipated. So you would do all those things ahead of time. If you're watching this video on the toilet and it's 8 o'clock at night, the day before your colonoscopy, it's kind of too late to do those things. So what you can do is take Dulcolax pills. You can also use magnesium citrate if you really want to try something else. Magnesium citrate is another over-the-counter laxative that you can try that's pretty powerful. But you probably don't want to keep adding a liquid to your system. So the pills usually will help start things a little bit. In extreme cases, if you really haven't gone to the bathroom and nothing's happening, you can use an enema. And again, just call your doctor and ask them if it's early enough in the day, if it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Most people would rather have you call than not have you call. It's much better for you to call your doctor at 5 or 6 p.m. than it is to call at 11 or 12 at night and ask what to do, because by that time it's often too late. And your doctor probably wants to sleep because he's doing a colonoscopy, or he or she is doing a colonoscopy on you tomorrow. So you probably want to let them get a little bit of sleep. But it's all kidding aside, it's okay to call. The other situation where you drank the prep and nothing's happening is really like nothing's happening. Like you drank both doses of the prep and nothing is happening. That's a pretty extreme situation. Most people, by the time they finish the prep, are going to the bathroom quite a bit. If you're going a lot, but it's not really clear coming out, that's a different story. That means that the prep just maybe is not enough for you, or maybe you need a little extra help. And that's also where this Dulcolax and magnesium citrate come in, because they're very low volume preps. They're pretty easy to tolerate. It's all over the counter. You can run out to the drugstore and get it, or send someone in the family to get it, because you don't want to have an accident in the car while you're prepping. And better yet, just get this stuff ahead of time. Keep it on hand when you're doing the colonoscopy prep. So what you do is, if you're going to the bathroom a lot, but it's not really fully cleaned out, what I usually tell people to do is they finish all the prescription prep, and then the next morning you wake up really early, like 5 hours before your procedure. So if your procedure is scheduled for 9 o'clock in the morning, you have to get up 5 hours prior to that. So you have to get up like 4 a.m. And obviously, if your procedure scheduled at 8, you have to get up even earlier than that. But it's usually worth it to get a good prep. You wake up super early and you drink 1 bottle of magnesium citrate, and you take 2 Dulcolax pills by mouth. And then you can drink some clear liquids after that, Gatorade, water, whatever you want, enough to kind of flush everything through you. That gives you enough time, this is like a second little mini prep. It gives you enough time to wash everything out of your system. The prep really, when you're prepping and you're going to the bathroom after you drink the liquid, it really should come out looking like light green or light yellow colored water. It really should be watery liquid. You should be able to see the bottom of the toilet bowl. There should be no sediment, definitely no stool, and no pieces of like undigested food in there. That's definitely not a good prep. But even if it's like a murky orange juice kind of consistency, that's really not good. You can't really see very well when you're in there doing the colonoscopy. So you really want it to be a completely clear liquid, at like water or dilute Gatorade or something like that. That's what it should look like. So if it's anything but that, if it's anything more than that, and you're still seeing sediment or stool in the bowl, you really should do a little extra prep the next morning. But you have to get up early enough. You can't drink prep, right up to when you have to leave the house for the procedure, because you'll still have that stuff in your stomach. It's not safe when you're under anesthesia. You can't put really anything in your mouth for 2 hours before the procedure, and it doesn't give it enough time to work, so it's not even going to be effective. What will happen is you'll have your procedure, the doctor will tell you it's not a great prep, and then 2 hours later at home you'll be going for the next 3 hours. So that's not what anybody wants, really. So that's what you do if your prep is really just not working. You can always take extra stuff. It's good to have Dulcolax and magnesium citrate around the house. The other common scenario is when people throw up the prep. This is my least favorite scenario because it kind of adds insult to injury. Nobody really likes to drink the prep and then you throw it up, you get to taste it again, which is pretty vile. And plus it didn't work. And, some people it didn't even work. And then now you're out of prep and it's 10 o'clock at night and you threw it up the prep and now you're like stranded there with nothing, So again, it's a good idea to have a little extra stuff around in case that does happen. If you're prone to vomiting or prone to nausea, or even if you're prone to having constipation issues, it's good to tell your doctor about this ahead of time, or it's good to call them early in the evening, because your doctor can prescribe a nausea medicine like Reglan or Zofran, and you can pick it up at the pharmacy. It's prescription only, but it will help you with that nausea and help move the prep along through your system and help you go to the bathroom and not throw up the prep. If you're starting to feel nauseous from just drinking the large volume of liquids, the best thing to do is just to put the liquids away and just walk away. Walk around the house for a half an hour, wait for that feeling to pass, and usually it does pass and you can kind of continue on with the prep. You also could use a suppository or an enema to get things moving, and that advice also goes for people who have trouble with the prep. With it not working fast enough, you can always use something like an enema, but that's a little less, fun to use an enema. We don't really have to do that anymore for most people with the modern preps because they're pretty effective. So the vomiting thing is really an issue. If you throw up the entire prep and nothing really happened, you didn't really move the bowels at all, the whole thing's kind of a wash. You have to do a whole nother prep. Typically at that point, I'd suggest if it's early enough in the evening, you can go out and get the ingredients to make the Miralax prep, and I'm going to give you the instructions in the next video on how to do it. If it's really late in the evening or it's the next morning, you truthfully probably just have to cancel the procedure because the prep's probably it didn't have enough time to work and you're throwing up and it's just it's a hot mess and nobody wants to be in that situation, especially you. So it's better just to call and reschedule, or call and at least get your doctor's advice. The situation comes up sometimes where, especially with like thinner, smaller people, shorter people who have smaller colons or have normal bowel transit or really good bowel transit, they drink the prep and they throw up, but they're also going clear from below. That happens all the time. Sometimes the prep's like a one-size-fits-all prescription. It doesn't really come in doses. So we give the same prep to a 300-pound man as we give to a 110-pound woman, and sometimes the prep works. It doesn't always have to do with the size, but sometimes the prep works faster in some people or more kind of aggressively in other people. Now, if you notice that you are getting nauseous and you threw up, but you're also putting out clear liquid from below, usually that means you're good to go. You don't have to do much more prep. You can have clear liquids just to replace the losses in hydration. You can have some Gatorade, but you shouldn't really have to take more prep if you're going clear from below. The only troublesome situation when it comes to vomiting is when you're throwing up the prep plus you're also not cleaned out. So that's really like the worst case scenario, and it's really best just to call the doctor at that point. And this way you can figure out something to help salvage the situation. The last thing to mention is that people often call like right before they're supposed to leave the house, so they're not really entirely clear. And that's a really difficult situation to deal with because you are too close to the procedure time where you can drink additional prep. It's too late to drink Miralax. It's too late to drink magnesium citrate. At that point, really the only thing that you can do is an enema. If you thought about it a few hours prior, you could take some Dulcolax pills by mouth, 2 Dulcolax pills, a small sip of water, and also potentially an enema, as long as it's 2 hours before your procedure time. But if you're like about to get in the car and you notice that there's still sediment or there's still something in the toilet that doesn't look like it's just clear liquid, then it's troublesome. And the only thing you really can do at that point is call your doctor and potentially give yourself an enema to help kind of flush everything out. But oftentimes, if it's really not clear, it's not going to be an excellent prep when you come in for the procedure in an hour or so. So that's my advice on doing the bowel prep and dealing with the common situations that come up and get in the way. So if you tried to use any of these fixes and they helped you, please leave me a comment below. I love to see what worked for you, and other people will also be helped by your experience. Also, if you like these kind of videos and you want more videos or some other specific topic to talk about, just leave me a comment and drop me a follow, and I'll be able to get something interesting out in the near future. All right, hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. Happy prepping.